Now we review the 2025 film Flight Risk. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have a cat. This is Nimbus. She's pointing her butt at me. And I have seen Flight Risk. I do realize that Jeremy Johns reviewed this like a month ago. Yeah, I'm behind in my reviews. I'm getting through them. Anyway, Flight Risk is a film about a FBI agent who's had some problems with her career. She's kind of on the fringe. She may be banished to a desk forever, but she loves field work. She's kind of twitchy. So you've got twitchy, then you've got the person. She's transporting a witness to testify in a mafia case, and he's a drip. He's not a twitchy, he's a drip. He does panic like a twitchy, but he's definitely a drip. He's totally this sad little drip of a man. How he got up the courage to do whatever he did to piss off the mob, we don't know, but he's going out there being a pathetic, sad little half man. And then you've got the pilot of the plane that is taking them to wherever they need to go because they're in Alaska and there are no roads. And this person is a monster. They are the strongest character in the film, perhaps a little too strong, played by Mark Wahlberg, and they're Buffalo Bill wearing somebody else's skin. So yeah, you got some stuff on your whiskers, kitty. Anyway, so there's your premise. The first act of the film is pretty much them getting to the plane, and then it's in the trailer that the pilot is the problem, and so the entire plane ride, the pilot is trying. I love you too, Bear. The pilot is trying to sabotage things and make sure this guy does not witness. The FBI agent or whatever she is trying to maintain, and that's what's going on. And I heard Jeremy Johns say, it's no secret that I watched the great Jeremy Johns, the greatest single film reviewer on YouTube. He said, well, they can't kill him because he's the only one that knows how to fly the plane. That's not true. They can't kill him because she's an FBI agent, and you can't just go around killing people. That's an FBI agent thing. So, stop biting me. So you can't just shoot the guy because you're in a plane. And once you've subdued him, it's like, yeah, methods of subduing obviously have to be inferior, because if you don't make them inferior, then you don't have a movie, because this is a movie primarily set inside a small plane. So in order for this movie to movie, there need to be problems. Like, this guy, he either he's the the end all be all of criminals, and he has a secret way of doing everything, like getting out of handcuffs or breaking shackles, or maybe he's sabotaged things on the plane so that he can get through. But it's just one of those things. In this particular situation, you have two options on how to make this story work. One of them is rely on stupidity, and the other one is rely on coincidence. So it's like, yes, okay, we're going to handcuff him to this thing, and that thing could be old and rusted and broken, which would be coincidence, or he could have a way to get out, which would be stupidity. It's like if you handcuffed him to something that's bolted to the side of the plane, but the bolts aren't very tight, so he could just unscrew them with his fingers, that's stupidity, okay? And yeah, anybody could make that mistake. I've seen that mistake on secured facilities before, but that's, not a thing. Or that is a thing. So yeah, all right. And there you have your movie. You've got this kind of pressure cooker limited location, but it's a really cool limited location. And that is why I say I found this movie serviceable. There are a few shots that showed off that the FBI agent was indeed an attractive woman. Maybe not like a perfect 10, but certainly a very attractive woman. Enjoyed those. There's Mark Wahlberg's makeup is a little too makeup-y. They put a bald cap on him, and I mean, you don't see much of it, but you could tell it's a bald cap. And another point of this movie is that the exposition is so choreographs the story that it's just not. It's almost not worth watching the film at this point. You're given every beat. Like there's this one point in the film where this guy, he is a total. You find out in the film what kind of a monster he is, and he is one of the darkest kinds of monster. He enjoys what he does. This guy, I mean, he is the kind of person the Joker would like to spend an evening with, drinking and swapping stories. So that's who he is. He is so dark of a character. He doesn't shut up. He's always drawing attention to himself. So he's not necessarily the best person for the film, but he's like, okay, there is an FBI file on this guy. He is a serial killer, and it is the kind of file that the other agents say, you don't want to read this. It's nasty. So that's who this guy is. He enjoys hurting people. So yeah, but it's just too choreographed because you've got a scene with a knife, for example, and like this guy's got a knife. He's a knife killer. He's the kind of person that if he had the choice of weapon to kill someone, he doesn't want a gun. That's too slow. Or that's too fast. He wants a knife. He wants to take his time. He wants to make his art. And he's got the knife, and then we see the knife go somewhere. I was like, okay, the knife being there is going to be important, all right? Any film critic worth his salt would know that. And then it's like the FBI agent says, where'd the knife go? So yeah, okay, now she doesn't know where the knife is. He probably knows where the knife is, and the knife is unaccounted for. So yes, she would be taking the time to police that knife. That would be important, but things get in the way. It happens. That's life. All right, so then there's a shot where you see the knife on the ground saying, don't forget about the knife. And it's like, seriously? Seriously? I mean, do you think I'm stupid? Do I need to remember? Because I'm going to remember the knife when it comes into play later, when it becomes a factor later in the film. So yes, this, as a film, it is a little too textbook. It is a little too establishing shot. It is a little too, we need to get this to feature length, so let's do this. And I mean, even when you think the film is over, there's sort of that last moment of tension. And yeah, okay, that's not necessarily bad filmmaking, but it is still a little too choreographed and a little too absurd. It's just one of those things that, it's not slick, it's not well done, it's not well understood. It's just kind of there. And that's where this film kind of fails. Now, this is not to say, look, I could point to films I liked a lot more that had a lot more problems. I really could. Okay? And, this film, it doesn't bring in a charm. It's not particularly interesting. It is a solid textbook sort of a film. And that as a point, I mean, I can't hate it. I can't love it. It's just, it is very there. I mean, it is middle, slightly upper middle of your watch list. I mean, it would be maybe a 60% or a 65% you should definitely watch this. There's nothing particularly wrong about the film. It's just, it's not earth-shaking to me. It's not, oh my God, this is a film you have to see. Flight Risk is a serviceable film. It functions. It does what it's meant to do. It's enjoyable. So I would assume that most people who would watch this film, at least 60% of the audience, would probably enjoy it, okay? There are a few people that may hate it, and the fact that it is directed by Mel Gibson, which is kind of the elephant in the room here, does detract from the viewing joy for me. Because, of course, he said some things, and those things are hard to live down. And I mean, let's try to remember that, let's separate the artist from the art. He's not a nice person, and that should not make you not want to see this film. But, his directing skills leave a little to be desired. He's a little too contrived. He's a little too mechanical. He's a little too textbook. And that's the thing about films like this. This is a tight story. It is probably made on a lower budget. And we're seeing a lot of those lower budget tight story films nowadays. But just as a point, it's middle of the road. It's not bad. It's not good. It's serviceable. And, yeah, I mean, a lot of films are like that. Do understand that, a lot of films, there's not a lot of meat to them. And they perk up in the final act. But that's all they do. They perk up in the final act. So you really do have to understand that that's the way the world works. Yeah, I mean, look, Flight Risk, don't hate it, don't love it. Reasonable enough film, no particular reason to see it in theaters. That's just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Fred the Facehugger, and I'd like to point out that this world isn't a nice place. But you know who's trying to make it a nice place? The owner of this channel, yes. The owner of this channel does things like pay for ocean cleanup, and have trees planted, and even feed orphans in an orphanage in Mexico. Yes, it's a real thing, I'm not kidding. I may be a face-hugging alien from a horror movie, but I'm not a liar. Anyway, when you comment, like, and subscribe, you're supporting that better world, and whereas it may not make a big difference, it may be the difference between one more tree planted, one more pound of trash out of the ocean, or one child not going hungry tonight. So, think about it. Shouldn't you comment? Shouldn't you like? Shouldn't you subscribe? I certainly would if I were you. I'm Fred.